When Pat McAfee made the big announcement that he was signing on with ESPN, it was kind of a shock. Not a lot of people thought that that would actually ever be in the cards. And certainly there was a lot of concern that this is selling out, that he was going to change, blah, 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 all of these things. And since his time at ESPN, he has shown that he is more than willing to continue to speak out about things, even if he gets some heat for it, even critical of ESPN higher-ups, even doing things that a lot of people that work at ESPN do not like. And that doesn't mean that I agree with all of his takes. And it doesn't mean I don't think he ever makes mistakes. However, once again, after on Veterans Day, when Pat McAfee had President Donald Trump on the show to discuss a lot of sports things and, of course, talk about the vets, talk about Veterans Day, talk about what that means, he, of course, received a wave of backlash from woke lunatics who were furious that the same exact broadcaster, ESPN, who used to have Obama on all the fucking time, would dare to have President Donald Trump come on for an appearance on Veterans Day, of all things. Well, Pat McAfee, in typical Pat McAfee fashion, wasn't just going to ignore the noise, he was going to address it, and he absolutely has. ESPN host tells viewers to fuck off over Trump appearance. And so to put it in perspective, Trump came on for a segment on the Pat McAfee show. They were on Paris Island. They had a bunch of Marines that were there, right? It was a really kind of cool segment. And of course, Trump, he'll always talk about sports. Some of his takes a little more informed than others. He's probably got a lot of other stuff going on. But here's a small sample of, what was happening and one of the reasons he was there and how really so much of it was about the troops.
It's one big ooh-rah! New Marines, Mr. President, just ooh-rah'd the hell out of you there for what you just said about
that's good. Well, we love them. They are a special group indeed.
Mr. President, have you ever done an ooh-rah to a bunch of Marines?
Not the kind that I just heard. I just heard a level of professionalism with the way they did it that I don't think anybody can match it, to be honest. That's very impressive.
Mr. President, why don't you drop one? Mr. President, why don't you drop an ooh-rah real quick?
I will. Hoorah!
Yes. Okay. We love everything about that.
It's just a small sample size of what happened. But of course, Pat McAfee was attacked relentlessly from these fucking lunatics. These are the same people who booed relentlessly through a swearing-in ceremony for people that were signing on to become military members at the Washington football game not that long ago. That's the same type of people that had a problem with Trump coming on here. Well, Pat McAfee has issued a response, and I think it's 3 minutes. It's kind of long, but I do think it's worth listening to because there were a lot of people that were concerned, and I think that there's some things about Pat McAfee that may have changed here or there when it comes to signing on at ESPN and things he's said or things he's pushed for that not a huge fan of, whether it's the purchase of Red Zone and NFL Network and some of the comments like that. But he has always continued to push back against some shit that other people at ESPN just won't do. That's the reality. That Pat McAfee is still willing to go against the grain on ESPN, even being critical of ESPN at times while on their platform. And he'll also do things like bring Trump on that no one else at this fucking network would have done. Let's listen.
Yesterday, obviously, we had the incredible honor of being down on Paris Island for Veterans Day as all 4 of the main league's commissioners dropped a note to the veterans letting them know how much we appreciate them. UFC President Dana White sent a message of appreciation and gratitude to our America's heroes. We also had the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, who sent a message to the young vets out there. And we also had the Commander-in-Chief on the show live. I believe it's the second time that a sitting president has been live on an ESPN show. The last one was from a Democratic political party. This one obviously representing, I guess, the Republican political party. But in my eyes, he's the leader of the military, and we were celebrating the hell out of Veterans Day. Now,
and that's what was happening. It was on Veterans Day. They were on Paris Island. And it was a pretty cool thing for Pat McAfee and the boys to do. And he's right. Right? This is a network that has had Obama on plenty of times. Do you think if he had on Kamala Harris that the same people would be fucking whining and bitching and complaining? I don't think so. I doubt that would be the case. And in typical Pat McAfee fashion, the entire thing was very lighthearted, asking, what NFL coach would be a great president and shit like that. Right? That's what the focus really was of this interview, of this little segment that he had. And of course, so much focus on the troops, asking what they're doing to help troops and stuff. And look, I was in the Navy, right? I'm an 11-year Navy veteran. So this kind of stuff is cool to me. I enjoy it. I respect it. I'm appreciative of these people going out there and highlighting those things, especially on Veterans Day. But some people very, very upset.
There are people who are certainly not the most happy that happened, but what I would like to say, every veteran military person I talk to is very grateful and thankful that we spotlighted the heroes of America who walk amongst us, who are willing to sign a line and go for the United States of America as opposed to anything else. So if you're against what happened yesterday, I'd like to say you hate the troops. And you should go ahead and swallow that, and you can take that to where you want to go. And any president, okay, willing to come on our Veterans Day celebration spotlight show, commander-in-chief, head of military, we would be very open to. So we would like to let any president know going forward that if we were allotted the opportunity to go to Paris Island for the first time ever and have a live show in front of actual Marines while they're doing their thing, and if we're going to celebrate Veterans Day, and we're going to have all four of the commissioners, the heads of every single league in the United States of America, basically, and also have the president of the UFC global thing come on, and the sergeant major of the Marines, if future presidents, you always be welcome.
Boom.
Also, it was missed. I did reach out to President Obama's team. Okay, President Obama talked to multiple people in President Obama's team. Wasn't able to work because of the quick turnaround. We started this thing on Monday because there was a lot of conversations late last week about this show getting not going to be allowed. There were some people in the government, obviously, I found out about this very late, that said, wait, he's going to be allowed to be on Paris Island? We're in the middle of a government shutdown. There's no way. Is any other show allowed on any? Is any other show allowed? No. Well, why the hell is this guy allowed? So end of last week, there was a lot of doubt, and I completely understood the doubt. I thought it was crazy that it was even going to potentially be happening anyways. So once we got the clear and the go-ahead and the stage was built on Sunday on Paris Island in front of that beautiful Iwo Jima statue, it was an incredible thing. As soon as I found out that it was real, then I started piecing the show together because I had no idea if I was just going to be wasting my time doing it before then. So everybody that responded within a 12-hour period, I am so incredibly grateful for, and we are so lucky that we got a chance to spotlight the greats who walk among us, and we appreciate the hell out of the Marines for the hospitality, and you guys are the greatest. What a day yesterday.
Hell yeah.
What a day yesterday. Got a lot of people saying mean stuff to me. Got a lot of people saying mean stuff to me. Yep. Got a lot of people that don't know what a football looks like telling me they're never watching my show again. And I would like to let you know, good, fuck you, let's move on. Yesterday,
Good, fuck you, let's move on. And I appreciate the fact that Pat McAfee is willing to do that, right? Because regardless of whatever ESPN wants to say about this or that or whatever, not a lot of people that work at ESPN would be willing to have Trump on the show. Not a lot of people would be willing to have the commander-in-chief on the show. Pat McAfee was. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are very upset that don't ever fucking watch it. Like, I don't think there's any person that actually watches the Pat McAfee show on a regular basis that would get offended over this. I can't see how that's the case. So there's a lot of noise, a lot of people bitching and moaning. Ultimately, Pat McAfee does not give a fuck and has let him know. If you got a problem with us having the commander-in-chief on Veterans Day to celebrate veterans, go fuck yourself. And I am all here for it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.